First Coast's most accurate forecast from the First Coast News Weather Team, certified by Weather Rate, sponsored by AC Designs.
Friends, I'm meteorologist Robert Speta, and boy, it has been a wet and damp day here across the First Coast. So we're going to talk about, how much more rain is in the forecast. A lot of you have been asking not just where this is all headed right now, but how long it is going to last. And also we look ahead into Thursday through Friday, where we're going to be seeing a decent drop in temperatures. Now, this is first off a look from Everbank Stadium looking towards downtown. And now we do have some rain moving through our area right now. It's just been these on and off light to moderate areas of precipitation throughout the morning. Nothing terribly heavy, and we're not seeing flooding out here or anything like that. But what we are getting is just kind of these messy conditions. For example, let's take a look out at Jacksonville Beach. This is a time lapse throughout the morning. These on and off rounds of rainfall kicking on by. It's not terribly heavy, but definitely dreary. And as we go ahead through the evening commute, there could be some slick roads out there with those areas of precip, especially south of Jacksonville, still taking place. So let's take a look at our radar now. And yeah, this looks like a lot. The satellite imagery, there's a lot of cloud cover out there, but what we'll do is flip over to SatRad, and this is a good image because it shows the backside of this precip here. And in fact, let's kind of take a look at, we got forward motion of the backside of this, moving towards the east at about 45 to 50 miles per hour. It's cruising right along here at a decent clip. So we can grab that. Let's push it off towards the east here, and we can time out when exactly this is going to end for a lot of our area. Brunswick around 2:30. Yeah, most of the precip, even the light stuff, is going to be tapering off at that point. Jacksonville, probably closer to about 3 o'clock. And after 3 o'clock, I mean, you'll still have cloudy skies. You might get a little couple drops mixed in there. But that more persistent light rainfall is going to be kind of tapering off. Oakleaf is at 328, Ponte Vedra at 354, and by St. Augustine at 428, you're going to be looking at vastly improving conditions here. Now, if we do pull back this picture, though, if you are headed further towards the south, I do want to know there is some heavier stuff kind of kicking its way on down towards the Gainesville area, I-75, and maybe over towards eventually the Daytona area, but I do believe this is going to run in some dry air, and a lot of the energy is going to kind of get zapped out from that too. And if we pull back the overall picture on top of all of that, there's a lot going on further towards the north. So let's say you plan on traveling out towards the D.C., New York, North Carolina area. There is plenty of snowfall mixed in there as well. But let's bring it back closer to home here on the First Coast. Zoom right in on your local area. And right now, yeah, some moderate rain around the Mayport area right around 2:05 p.m. here. We scoot down to Middleburg. You got some showers moving on by, and all of this is moving off towards the east-northeast. So even taking a closer look kind of right there at this round of precip, east-northeast, right about like that. So moderate precip, nothing terribly heavy, but it is going to, windshield wipers type stuff. Here in Orange Park at 213, Fruit Cove at 218, and then Nocatee at 235. So once again, this all goes back to us being under a weather impact alert today here on the First Coast. We issue these not as hype, and we really try to nail that home. Some days it is hype. Let's say we had a Cat 5 hurricane bearing down on us. We would hype it up. This is not one of those scenarios. We really want to just let you know that there's going to be inconvenient weather, and it has been today. I mean, everybody's got to bring that umbrella with them today. I'm sure maybe some baseball practices or any games outside probably going to be canceled here this afternoon because of the damp conditions, kind of those soaking rains. And we also saw multiple traffic accidents this morning that potentially were weather-related. I know that on my drive-in, there was water pooled up on the side of the roads, which making for, some rough conditions once your wheels does hit that. So you want to slow down. This is how much rain has fallen over the last 12 hours. So see around Lake City, extending back towards the west there, did have some areas about half an inch to an inch. Let's actually plop this right on the western side of Columbia County. Yeah, you can see right there, that is about 1.2 inches being picked up. Wow, if we get closer to Jacksonville, this is radar estimated rainfall, so it's not exact. It's a good estimate within about 1/10 of an inch. Yeah, about 1/2 an inch. We still have some more rain, but I think about 1/2 an inch to an inch for Jacksonville probably going to be the totals here. Beneficial rain, by the way, too. We've been seeing kind of this persistent precip all day, and technically in some parts of the First Coast are under a moderate drought. So what happens with the persistent rainfall? It falls, it soaks into the ground, and it can get into those aquifers versus just running off into the river or sewage or anything like that. So this rainfall is beneficial. The problem is we have been getting what we call training. That is being one round of showers after another. In fact, this is very crude, but I'm not a graphic designer. I made this graphic here. I'm giving you an idea what we're talking about. Think of, trucks on the highway. You got one moving through after another, after another, after another over the same area, or a train cars moves over one over another. That's what we call it when we see training. So today we have been kind of seeing that to a lesser extent. It's not the heaviest of stuff, but it is a bit messy out there. So let's go back to our weather impact alert, which is in place today through 6 o'clock. I think even for downtown Jacksonville, as you've just seen there when we timed it out for you, about 3:30, 4 o'clock, we'll see that precip start to taper off. Rain gear, though, yeah, maybe some indoor plans. Like I said, basketball games usually are inside. Baseball games, soccer, anything like that usually gets rained out. Those are probably going to need to be moved indoors, change your plans, or be postponed. Also, drive carefully. We can't stress that enough. As mentioned this morning, we have had multiple traffic accidents during the morning commute, and I do hope that people take it careful on the way home. It's just one of those things you could think about. I've been trying my best I'm guilty of running above the speed limit just as much as everybody else, but I've been trying my best lately just to kind of be mindful of it, and be extra careful in some of these heavier. I know if you got that big truck and you can just feel like you can plow through it, but you're also causing issues for people around you if you're flying through water and kicking it up on the people. I know it's not your problem, it's theirs. I get it. I've heard that stuff before, but it's one of those things. Let's make sure everybody gets home safe today, especially on a day where it's not really severe weather. Look at our hour-by-hour futurecast. This is by 3:30, 4 o'clock, and you can see even our high-resolution in-house graph model shows a lot of this tapering off. By 5-6, it's cloudy with a couple drops. Yeah, that's good. And then as moves off towards the east, still got some cloudy and damp conditions through the rest of the evening as winds start to shift in from the north. And that's the big topic as we look ahead into tomorrow. Thursday's high is 56 degrees. I mean, that's something, especially compared to what we were seeing just a week ago when we had highs into the 80s. 42 is the low, by the way, already getting rather chilly. With that sunset at 6:19 p.m. And I noticed that sunset because after the sun goes down, those winds are really going to start to blow in from the north. Skies will begin to clear out, and things are going to get chilly by Thursday night into Friday morning. Look at these wind chills. By 7 a.m. on Friday. Oof, that is 31 in Jacksonville. I don't think these are wind chills. I think this is actual temperature. Yeah, that's right. These are not wind chills. These are actual temperatures. Wind chills could be in the mid to low 20s. Actual temperatures are mid-20s. In Waycross, Valdosta, Jacksonville could get down to 31 degrees. Well, a little bit closer to the coast, it'll be a bit warmer. But that also shows where we do a freeze watch is in place. In fact, there's a freeze watch in place for most of our inland areas by Friday morning. So we do have a weather impact alert for Friday, too. Not to say it's severe weather, but just want to reiterate its convenience. It's going to be cold. You're going to have to turn those heaters back on by Friday morning, but also dress appropriately. And a lot of people, especially after all the warmer weather we've been getting, probably want to break out the sandals, the shorts, and think, spring's here, let's go. But I'm trying to see if there's any comments on our YouTube channel right now. I have not seen anything just yet, but I'm always trying to read through this. So if you get any questions or comments, you can always post them there, and I'll try to read through it. Anyways, let's get back to our forecast here because it is rather chilly as we go ahead into our Friday morning. And it's going to stay chilly through the day on Friday. By Saturday and the Sunday, we will gradually begin to slowly warm back up. And this is the overall culprit for this. We got that much colder air spilling in from Canada. In fact, we had one of our comments in our last streams said, there was somebody from Texas saying, well, you wait, the rain is one thing, but you wait until the cold arrives. And yeah, we're going to get it by Friday morning. In fact, I'm going to pull back the broader picture here. Let's take a look at what the temperatures are across the United States, because this always gives you a good idea of upstream. And oh my goodness, that is rough. This is the first time I've looked at it here this afternoon. Oh my, I just realized the minus 20 in Cut Bank, Montana. There's also blizzard warnings out there in western Montana, too. So our 58 with light rainfall, probably not that bad when you compare it with our friends off towards the north. But let's bring it closer to the first coast, or closer to the southeast for that matter. St. Louis is at 17, 26 right now. This is not wind chill. These are real temperatures. 26 in Nashville. Birmingham, Alabama's at 37. Houston's at 31. Houston's below freezing. 10 in Oklahoma City. Yeah, the minus 20, though, that is ridiculous. That's why I don't live in Montana, I suppose. But even look at Bismarck, Pierre, still below freezing point. So, with that said, I mean, in meteorology is like a basic form of meteorology. Before we had computer models, before we had satellite pictures, the weather reports were transmitted to a hub via telegraph across the country. And all you simply did is what we call progging. You look upstream. So just like if you have a river and you see the water flowing by you, but upstream you see a boat and it's floating towards you, the forecast is boat's probably going to hit you in such and such time once you time out the forward motion of the water. So we're going to time out the forward motion of this cold air spilling in, and it's Thursday night into Friday morning. Those frigid temperatures will get to the first coast. Now, they will modify by that point. They're not going to be quite as extreme as minus 20, but the temperature is going to be falling. And that's why we got that 31 degrees there by Friday morning. And once again, a weather impact alert in place. Just a high of 50 degrees, though, on Friday. So Friday, mostly sunny skies. I mean, it's clear air. It's going to be clear polar air that will be dominating. Great for getting outside and I guess maybe doing some sky viewing at night. If you want to see the parade of planets out there, that is starting from the western sky after sunset, you can catch Venus, Jupiter, Mars, and I believe Saturn might still be visible out there after sunset. So pretty cool. I think with the clear skies, you put on a nice jacket, you're going to get out there and enjoy that. But let's take a look at our 7-day, because maybe you don't enjoy that. Maybe you enjoy the warmer air and you're just like, I want to know, when can I put my sandals back on? Maybe next week. We're going to be back into the 60s over the weekend, and then by Monday into Tuesday back up into the mid 70s. And don't see any 80s for about the next 10 to 15 days. So generally, it's going to be a little bit below average, but we'll leave those 30s in the rearview mirror after Friday. So kind of warming back up to slightly below our average here. Just trying to read through this one more time. I don't really see any questions at this point, but hey, if you have any questions or anything specific, or if you want to share your thoughts or any images of the weather today in your neck of the woods on our First Coast News Weather Watchers Facebook page, truly appreciate that as well. I'm always looking for your guys' image. In fact, I'm looking for a place to go at 5 o'clock. So if you have any flooding in your neighborhood or even just pooling, let me know, because I'm supposed to be live on location somewhere it's flooding, and we're not seeing that whatsoever. It is dreary, but maybe there's one or two spots here. Once again, let's go back to our radar if you're just tuning in. We do have that rain kind of moving from west to east. Let's time this out one more time, because we still have dreary conditions here across the First Coast. But if we push this forward, it's probably Jacksonville by 3 o'clock. The bulk of this rain is going to be tapering off. Ponte Vedra by 3:30 and St. Augustine by 4:15 to 4:30. So things are going to be starting to taper off. Do you have a question here?
Yeah, we have.
Okay. Oh, well, there. Thank you very much. Sorry, I must have not seen that. I do appreciate it. So what's it look like for tomorrow? Swazi says, and is it going to snow again? I'm going to answer that question first. We got a couple other ones here. Thank you. I must not been able to pull that up, so I truly appreciate that. And how is it looking for travel down to South Florida on Friday afternoon by Archville? So first off, let's talk about tomorrow here. Great questions, guys. Thank you very much. Keep them coming. I mean, I'll keep talking if you all keep asking questions, because that's what I like doing. I like talking with you here. So the cold air is going to blow in here on our Thursday. We're going to see the backside of this, and I do anticipate clouds in the morning slowly tapering off and becoming a bit clearer by the afternoon. But that cold air is going to blow in. So we're going to see kind of that. Actually, let's go ahead and take a look at our temperatures throughout the day, hour by hour, and specifically the temperatures, not so much the rain, because the rain's tapering off here on our Wednesday afternoon. But this is by... Well, let's move this ahead to Thursday. So Thursday at 2 a.m., still a little chilly. Let's go ahead Thursday by 10:30. Look at Jacksonville, just 50 degrees, 48 in Waycross, Valdosta at 48. And then we scroll this a little bit further ahead by Thursday evening. We could warm up a little, maybe mid to high 50s, but there's going to be a stiff northwesterly breeze. So if you put on a jacket and you want to go fly a kite, it is a good sweater / kite flying day on Thursday. I hope that answers your question. How's Thursday looking? It's a good jacket / kite flying day. Yeah, that's probably the best way to describe it. Is it going to snow again? No. I don't anticipate it snowing. It's going to be too dry. And this is going to be kind of more of a classic cold snap for the First Coast, where you get the storm that moves through. It brings kind of relatively wet, warmer weather. And then on the back side of that, the winds start to shift in from the north and west. And a lot of dry air spills in. But that dry air comes with clear skies. And those clear skies are one of the reasons why you cool off so quickly at night. It's because you get a lot of radiational cooling. Basically, think of clouds acting like a blanket over the First Coast. And let's say your bed is the First Coast. You're laying there in bed, you're all cuddled up. That's that layer of clouds. If somebody just rips that blanket or the clouds off of you, you're going to lose all of that heat. And that's going to be the case Thursday night into Friday. Basically, Mother Nature is going to rip this layer of clouds off of us, and we're going to cool off pretty significantly. So it won't snow. It's just going to be chilly. And in fact, I think by Friday morning, frost, freeze could be an issue for a place like Waycross and Valdosta because, below 32 degrees, physics is going to cool off. But if the wind is blowing, the water molecules probably won't be able to settle, especially out near the coast. It won't be able to settle on plants and surfaces and stuff like that because the wind is blowing too much and kind of mixing up the atmosphere. If for frost to take place, you actually need light winds. So if we do get those kind of breezy conditions Thursday night and the Friday, as we're anticipating, frost won't be quite as bad, but freeze still an issue. I would still prepare for a frost though because if the wind's back off, or maybe you're in a sheltered area, like you're on the south side of your house and the wind is blowing around your home, then you're in a kind of an eddy where there's no wind, then you could get that frost. So just something to keep in mind. The other question somebody just asked about was, I'm driving to South Florida. Jackson, did they say when they're driving on that comment? Friday afternoon. Thank you very much. So by Friday afternoon, I think you're going to be just fine. I mean, if you were going today, I would say I-4 all the way out towards Titusville. It's going to be a messy go. I mean, you can see this big old blob of moisture right there that's still kind of expected to roll across central Florida, south of the First Coast, but central Florida. If we take a look ahead actually at our broader picture here of our future cast, let's go ahead and let's take a look at that real quick. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to read one more of your questions here. Hi, Robert. How does it look for Sunday at the World of Nations around noon? I'm going to get to that in just a second. It's a good question. All right. Thank you very much, Tommy. I'll get to your question here in just 1 second. Around the World of Nations at noon. All right. So this low is going to... Basically, it's high pressure. This is Friday afternoon. High pressure is going to dominate. Now, if you're going to South Florida, something I do want to know, if you plan on going, let's say you're going to Miami and you're going to hit up the beach or something like that, we are going to have a stiff northeasterly wind. And when we get that, we're going to probably see some rip currents out there and maybe some onshore clouds along the coast into South Florida too. Not heavy rainfall or anything like that, but it's probably going to be a bit cloudy on your drive down. So I just want you to keep that in mind here. So All right, so yeah, the World of Nations here on February 22nd and 23rd. Let's talk about that, because what's the weather going to be over the weekend here? And I'm going to go back to the 7-day and take a look at what we got going on here, because I think it's going to be okay. Always a fun event, by the way, World of Nations. Absolutely love it. I try to get out there every year. They have that. Always so much going on. It's basically a cultural event here, and there's a lot of good food. Always good food for it. Saturday and Sunday, and this is what's interesting. Saturday and Sunday, we do have a little bit. I don't want to say it's going to rain, but you see how we have 10 to 30% there? I wonder if I can pull up the right graphic here for you, because I want to show you the long range future cast, because there is one model that's kind of indicating some precip on the first coast, but it's one, and it's not very a lot. Not very a lot. God, my words. But there is something. Let's see. How far does this one go out? All the way out to Friday into Saturday. So this is what I'm talking about. You see that onshore breeze. There is by Saturday afternoon. There's like kind of some of the guidance is pulling for a low pressure area in South Florida, which could create a little counterclockwise flow around it. And if we get that, we'll see a little bit of this onshore winds taking place right here. So with that, you could see some clouds kind of kicking on through with a few drops out near the coast, but I don't think it's going to be anything terribly heavy. And if you are heading out to the festival, the weather is going to be good. I mean, it's not going to be, I remember last year I went to it, I think the temperatures were in the 80s, and it was just absolutely beautiful. This year, yeah, probably a little bit cooler. But I don't anticipate anything too crazy with it. Temperature is probably into the 60s. Maybe a light sweater. I wouldn't even worry about an umbrella. If it does start to rain, it'll be a couple drops kicking on by, but nothing terribly heavy. Primarily be reserved out to the coast. So I hope that does answer your question. I would just bring a sweater with you. Just be ready for, some of those cloudy conditions and kind of that onshore flow here. So we got so many questions coming in. Y'all are legends right now. I need to pull that up on my phone and figure out how to pull it up on my phone. Our digital director here keeps walking over and handing me his phone. But guys, keep the questions coming. Rosemary, thanks for chiming in, Rosemary. You think my flight will be affected tomorrow leaving Charlotte to Florida? That's actually a very good question. It's because, and the reason why I say that's a good question, I'm not just saying it because, to say it. All questions are good questions, but this is a good question. It truly is. Let's pull back our picture here, because I'm sure, Rosemary, and if you don't mind commenting about the conditions right now outside your window, let me know, because it's snowing. I mean, I get it. It has been snowing out there. Let's actually pull up the storm reports, and this is going to be interesting. So I'm going to pull up the storm reports for the Charlotte area. Look at that right there. Parts of North Carolina out towards the Appalachians have been getting some pretty decent snowfall. This is just west of Charlotte. Look at this, half an inch there in Lincoln County, half an inch there. This is the one due north of Charlotte. That's another half an inch. Also been seeing just east of Charlotte ice accumulation, so a little bit of freezing rain mixed in there too. The good news is, much like the first coast, all of this is moving towards the east. So as long as Charlotte has good de-icing equipment, it's a major hub, and they do get winter storms. So by the time if your flight's tomorrow, the runway should be cleared out. And as far as weather causing any delays, I would say, nah, it shouldn't. All of this is going to continue to shift towards the east. You take a look down towards the south, though, we do have, these northerly winds going to be kicking in. But the good news, the runways at Jacksonville International are like this. I'm not just making an X, but it's an X. So what that means is that planes can pretty much land in any wind direction. So if the winds are coming in from the north and west at a pretty gusty pace, which I expect, planes, actually, if you come in, you'll probably loop back around and you'll land in from the south into the wind, and it should be a pretty smooth and safe landing. So yeah, it's a good question. Conditions will clear out in Charlotte. By the time you land tomorrow, it'll be breezy, but it should be crossing one of the runways out there at Jacksonville, which means yeah, weather conditions are going to be all right. But yeah, I would be interested if you are seeing snowfall out there, because I know the Charlotte area has been getting some pretty decent flurries, and even heavier west of there, out into the mountains and things like that. If we got any other questions, though, just let me know. If not, I'm probably going to wrap it up here in just a few minutes. But yeah, the key thing right now, I mean, this rain is moving along. We do have that weather impact alert in place, but it's mainly because conditions out there are damp. They're not flooding by any means, I'll stress that again, but they're damp. They're slick roads. It's a little messy. Just take your time out there on your evening commute, even if the precip has tapered off. Just give yourself a few extra minutes. Get home safe so you can enjoy it. And this is not the hype or anything. We're here to inform you guys so y'all can stay safe. When there is a hurricane or a tornado warning, we'll hype it. That's when we'll say it's serious. But today is not one of those days. So just make sure you're being smart about it out there and everything. But we're going to continue to track this precipitation at here on FCN Plus, of course. We have our radar looping on through. But also at 5 and 6 and 7 and 11 this evening at First Coast News. You can also stream us live at firstcoastnews.com on Roku, Fire Stick, and Apple TV. Jackson, anywhere else I'm not mentioning?
That's it.
All right. Cool. On the FCN app, of course, and all that. But thank you very much for everybody tuning in here and chiming in and having some great weather-related questions. I can't thank you enough for that. I love the interaction. So as always, continue to check back in, and I hope you have a safe and dry rest of your Wednesday. I'm meteorologist Robert Speta.